Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shonen and Chill, hosted by Zenrotto and Oceaniz.
Hello, folks. Welcome back.
Welcome
Another week.
back. The
Yeah, another
first
week and a
December
jump.
episode of
Damn.
2022, at least.
Yeah, and
Been doing this a while.
yeah, we're approaching episode 100.
We're getting real close. This is
Yeah, do
what,
we actually?
97?
Yeah, this must be 97. Do we actually want to talk on the air about the plans for the episode 100?
I guess we should, probably.
Yeah. So for those of you who are not in the Shonen Chill Discord, A, what are you doing? B, good idea. And C, we are we have started a little thing where on the Discord there is a thread where you can suggest predictions for 2023. And we will use those predictions to make bingo cards that we will reference for the immediate future. Whenever something happens on it, we'll talk about it. And I believe for the 100th episode, we said we're going to be discussing some of these predictions. Um, and sort of what is most likely, what is just a joke, and all that stuff. So if you want to submit those, you should hang out in the Discord and go submit us your ideas. If you think that My Hero Shippuden is happening, may the Lord have mercy on your soul, because I sure don't. But go tell us that. Um, and yeah, so that's gonna be one of the special things about episode 100. And we haven't decided on much else, I think,
Yeah,
right?
we're still in the baby step process of that, but
Yeah, I mean, critics would say, but Oceans and Zen, there's only 3 weeks left. And to that I would say, have you seen our release schedule lately? So, but yeah, we'll try to make it cozy and nice for the 100th. Because yeah, it's crazy. We've been doing this for 2 years now.
I know, 100 episodes. God damn.
Yeah. You texted me on, what was it, October 12th, 2 years ago, about this, and then we just did it, I think the next day.
Yeah, I think we literally were just like, okay, cool, let's do that thing.
It's so wild, because I think we had never talked before.
We
I
had
just knew
talked a
you.
little, but only like when you go to a party and you see someone and you're like, oh hey, and that was like it. That was the
Mhm.
extent of our
Yeah,
of
I
our
knew you
talking
as
prior.
Neo's friend. That's
Hmm.
kind of all. And here we are.
Here we are,
Uh,
2 years later.
happily married, apparently. Oh,
That's gonna be the
but
other thing for episode 100. It's gonna be the wedding.
oh god, the wedding episode. I better start dieting so I fit into my bridal dress. Um, all right. I don't believe we have any crazy news manga wise going on. Bleach teased a special announcement, and then it was just
It was a
like,
nothing.
yeah, some. I loved it. I love it when Japan does it. When they're like, oh, there's a special announcement. It's like a collaboration with a single cafe in Shinjuku. It's so funny every
Hmm.
time.
Major, massive announcement, and then it's like, oh, there's a data book that might come out in a few years. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
But nothing compares to just the endless cycle of Dragon Ball influencers hyping up a new reveal about, oh, Super is coming back this year, and every single time it's like an art exhibition or some shit that they're announcing
Yeah,
instead.
it's they've been doing. When did Super stop? Like 2016,
Uh,
2018?
20, 2018 when I started my channel.
They have been doing that every year ever since. This is when Super's coming back. And then the
Yeah.
announcement comes out and they're like, "Oh, check it out. There's just like this little thing.
Hmm.
It's just an art exhibition on the
Yeah.
corner of one road for like an hour."
And what's crazy to me is that every year it's the same people saying it, and every year people are surprised when it's not true. Like, because the first time it happened, I remember a lot of sort of the Dragon Ball scene was like, oh, they moved it, they postponed it, but there was a project. And I was at that time I was like, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. But my man, it's been 4 years, and every single time this has happened. Like maybe the project just either never was or has just been canned. I don't know. I'm not I'm not an
Yeah,
insider.
I don't know how people can still believe it. That's my thing. So when the same people are like, here it comes, the new anime announcement, and then they're like, hey, look, it's a Gogeta figurine. Why people are not like, are still believing them when they say the new announcement is here? I don't know, but
Well, there's still people who think that the only reason the Bleach anime is back is because of Bleach YouTubers, which,
oh, that's
you
an
know,
odd thing to think.
yeah. I think something I saw was someone making like a big post about, oh, it's so disrespectful of Wiz to be airing Bleach without like honoring the people who kept its memory alive during its hiatus. And it's just like, bro, like I kind of get it. It's like, oh, you want to be seen by the big company and you want to have your contributions matter, but also maybe you're overselling it a little bit, just a
Perhaps
tiny
just a
bit.
smidge.
Yeah. Not to shit talk other YouTubers because I don't really like doing that. At least not publicly. Um, well, I mean, honestly, what I say in private, right? It doesn't affect anyone. Like, if I go home and I'm like, damn, Reaction Guy 27 really sucks. Reaction Guy 27 is not gonna suffer a heart attack because I said that like to my wall in my room. So it's important to be nice in public at least. Because as YouTubers, I do feel we're all sort of at least a little bit in the same boat. Obviously, there are people who deserve a little bit of a slap sometimes, but that's not what we're here to discuss today. We can hold the drama cast a separate time.
All right, Shonen and unchill. What is that gonna?
Yes. Shonen and Tilt. That's the After Hours podcast. I say recording this at like 6 p.m. Oh, all right, my man.
All
What
right,
are your top three?
my top three. Okay, so number three, I might have to go Mashle.
Oh, damn.
I know, or maybe Blue Box. I think it has to be Blue Box.
Hmm.
Number two, Undead Unluck. Number one, Jujutsu Kaisen.
Damn, now that you change it to Blue Box, it's exactly mine.
Hey,
Hey, we did it again.
mind meld. That's what happens when you do this for 100 episodes.
Yeah, it's what happens when you're married legally and under the eye of God.
All right, so we'll start at the back and work our way up. So we got Choujin X first.
Yeah, 2 chapters of it.
Yes, because
Um,
release schedule even. It's even
what
crazier
is
than ours.
what? Yeah, true. But also, what's even crazier than release schedule? The content.
Yes.
Like what? I mean, I still get what's happening, but it's portrayed in a really interesting and cool way. Very trippy.
Extremely trippy. That like freaky tower that they're just climbing up.
Mm-hmm.
That has all the handholds
Like,
on it so you don't fall and die.
yeah, the creepy vagina portal that they
Hmm.
have to go through. Where it's like, oh yeah, that was a human, and I just like tortured her because I liked her ability. It's like, oh, nice, I guess.
And then there's just monks everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the Holy Mother, that awful thing we saw a couple of chapters ago, which in Choujin language is like half a year,
Yeah.
9 months. But yeah, oh my god, like just the worst vibes, but in the best ways,
Yes.
I guess.
Terrible
Is
vibe. Atrocious vibes.
yeah. Um, Also, I do like that the mask guy keeps like dropping names and terms and does not explain jack shit.
Yeah. He just
He's
keeps
like,
doing
"Oh,
stuff.
a depriver other than the Nue exists." And I'm like, I understood like 5 of those 20 words, maybe. And he keeps doing it. He's like, "Ah, yes, my Guritsattva," and I'm like, "What?" But I'm assuming that's meant to build like the suspense and tension, which
Yeah, I assume we'll find out eventually, but it is funny.
yeah, I mean, Nue, that's Megumi's dog.
Yeah. No, that's the Nue is the bird.
Oh, is it the
The
bird?
the
Right.
lightning bird.
Right. What's the bird doing here? Get
It's
back.
actually just the bird.
What a no wonder Megumi's doing so poorly lately. He doesn't have his birdie boy.
His bird is in a completely different series.
Sukuna's ultimate plan is to use Megumi's shadow to like pull other series into Jujutsu Kaisen. He's like, ah, yes, finally, my ultimate weapon, and he just pulls out like Goku.
Out of his shadow.
Yeah. And then Sukuna's like, so Gojo, can you beat Goku? And the manga ends. No chapters from that point onwards.
No official even statement that it's ended. It just stops right there.
He just stops releasing it. It's always still listed in the magazine, but the chapters are just blank.
They're all just blank pages.
Oh my god, if we were mangaka, that would be so chaotic. I'd get fired on my first day.
It's all just a fucking shit show. It would be funny to us though. That's how we work on 90% of this stuff. Is like this seems not good, but it's funny to us.
Yeah. Enjoyment is the ultimate measure of quality. Everything else is sort of, yeah, whatever. Like, fucking, oh god. I've already Sugamaru? The one with, done with Slash
Shugamaru?
Sugamaru,
Yeah.
the one with Slash Takizawa,
The
like
Slash
awful
Takizawa
manga.
series. Yeah, it's the only
Yeah.
name I remember.
Awful manga, but Slash Takizawa lives on.
In spirit inside the Velociraptor in the Sasuke series.
Yes. Wow, we have not talked about Choujin X
No,
at all.
well, it's hard to because it's a lot of exposition, but also we have no context for any of it really.
Yes, I do like the creepy mask guy. He seems more fun than I expected because he's not just creepy intimidation. He's also kind of goofy.
Yeah, he's like goofy, creepy. Also,
Yeah.
the guy who came back to defeat the Bone Zone is giving me weird vibes as well.
God, those pages are the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Those fucking mouths.
All the
Holy
fucked up
shit.
mouths that look like edited photos and shit. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
it's gross.
worst.
Um,
Um.
and
Also,
there
I
was
do
something
like
else that was freaky. Oh, the talk about how Ellie's ability seems to be taking other people's abilities, not she didn't actually like inherit powers from Chandra or whatever. She just absorbed his abilities when they first met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I like the way that she lets Tokyo know that she's alive is just by farting some
By
gas.
farting on yeah.
Yeah, no. Choujin X is one of those rare series that can be like super grotesque and weird, but it just strikes that balance where it's also just kind of silly and dumb. Like, something, for example, something like the Bone Zone, right? Like a lot of the imagery is fairly haunting, but what's actually happening is ridiculous. So it's sort of like, oh, yeah, the fucking Bone Zone.
Yeah, the guy's using the Bone Zone.
Um, so yeah, now I'm excited to find out what the Holy Mother is. I wonder if I'm gonna understand the explanation.
Yeah, I'm eager to read it 7 times
I'm eager
before I
to
talk
read
about it.
it. I'm eager to read it and then misunderstand it and have someone in our comment section explain it to me and then feel like a dumbass.
As is tradition.
God, there was something last week. I think yes, with the My Hero thing where it's like the hand with the microchip. Where we were like, oh, how did you know to put the microchip in that exact hand? And someone just pointed out, like, dude, the hands are all destroyed and they had like all this time. Of course, you would put one in the remaining hand. It's like, okay, that is better than what I thought. You know,
In our
I,
defense, it would require us to enjoy reading My Hero Academia to get that answer. So
yeah, one of my friends asked me today, like via text, so because I'm known as like the anime friend in my friend circle, so they sporadically ask me like, "Oh, how are these series doing?" And someone asked me about My Hero, and I just sent back like one of those videos of an orangutan. No, I did it again.
in
Fuck.
Orangutan again, we're all the way back around.
Yeah, of an orangutan like jumping off his bed in the zoo and just landing head first on the floor. I didn't text back. I just sent back that video. But hey, My Hero, we're free of My Hero this week. We shouldn't talk about it.
That's true. Let the
Sorry,
curse lie.
it really does live rent free in this podcast. But yeah, Shoujin X, very creepy and very cool. And I am interested to see if I'm ever going to actually understand what's going on in like sort of
Yeah.
with this villain specifically. But it's not turning me off. Like it's tantalizing and not frustrating, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how the stuff happened as opposed to just irritating.
Yeah.
As always, the art is immaculate. So that was really good.
Yes.
All the creepy imagery was like so well done.
Yeah, like you can really tell Ishida needed like the freedom of a Jump Plus series.
Hmm.
Like it's so weird to look back on Tokyo Ghoul and think that that was him being restrained. Um, because Tokyo Ghoul looks fantastic. It's where the whole meme comes from. Like, oh, this shit is weekly. You know, that whole thing comes from Tokyo Ghoul because people kept spamming it every time someone talked about it. It's like, bro, did you know it's weekly? Guys, did you know this comes out weekly?
They still do that now. They do that
Yeah,
with
but
My Hero now.
well, yes, but honestly, Tokyo Ghoul. I mean, My Hero has really impressive art. I'm not gonna downplay it, but Tokyo Ghoul has this sort of. It's not just really impressive art. It looks like it takes a lot of time. It's like really intricate and well formatted pages of like this immensely well crafted artistry where you're sort of like, yeah, kind of how is this shit weekly? Even if it is very much a meme phrase at this point. Um, and to look back on that and be like, wow, that was him like coping with limits. That's kind of also what keeps Shoujin X so interesting. That it feels like we're really seeing an artist just go ham. Um, Which is funny because that's kind of how I feel about Chainsaw Man Part 2 as well. Although I guess with there it's not quite as pronounced because I feel like Fujimoto definitely feels like the burden of having to follow up on Chainsaw Man now that the whole world's looking at him. Whereas Shoujin very much came out of nowhere because no one expected Sui Ishida to make another manga. He was too busy playing God of War. He actually drew one of the main promotional materials for the new one, Ragnarok.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know if
That's
you've seen
cool as
that.
hell. I have not seen that.
Yeah,
Look
wait.
that up while you.
Why don't you segue over and I'll find the art.
Okay. Well, and that's gonna roll us right into the real God of War, the Velociraptor manga,
Yes.
who
Um.
unfortunately
Oh,
does not appear, so it's not a very good chapter.
yes. Yes. No
No
Velociraptor this
Raptor,
time.
three out of 10.
Yeah, but I mean, I did like that Sakura got something to
Yeah,
do.
it was cool. I like her when she says like I'm Tsunade's apprentice, and Sasuke's like Tsunade's fucking terrible at this.
Yeah.
But then she revealed like, yeah, she would always want to play games with me, so I would have to force a tie over and over again because letting her win, she'd never want to stop.
Yeah.
So the only way to make her lose interest was to tie. That was
Hmm.
funny. The
All right.
weird mystery about like, hey, look, Konoha's in here was kind of like, get, eh, getting a little weird for me. Um,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've already read the book, right?
I
So
have read the book, yeah.
okay. Yeah, because I don't. For me, that was actually kind of interesting. I was like, oh, how does that factor into it? But I didn't think too much of it. Um. But yeah, I mean, it was still pretty good. I think this is a chapter convinced me that this is not just a silly raptor manga, that it does actually have a fairly interesting setup. Again, just having Sasuke putting himself into situations. Um, I also thought it was sweet that he made her a ring, and he actually like did seem to like think about the thing the other guy
Yeah,
said
it's
about
nice to have
marriage.
a series finally actually be like, yeah, they do have feelings for each other. It's not just a weird 12-year-old's obsession and then 10 years later they have a baby.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's always the thing with Naruto's like ending regarding its characters. That I think the best way I've seen it said is the whole thing where like you have all these interesting and different character dynamics, none of which are romantic, and then time skip, and everyone is in perfectly heterosexual relationships where they have reproduced just as the Lord intends. Um, and it really did feel like that with Naruto, where it's like, okay, who cares what you did in the story? Settle down, crank out a kid or two.
Hmm.
Um, we need to cast for the new series. Um, so it is really nice to see that actually like develop, quote unquote, a little bit here, even if it is very small. Like we are very much praising Crumbs, but it's fucking Sasuke Uchiha. Seeing him do anything
Yeah,
other than scowl,
yeah, that's a good point.
yeah. I mean, I do like Sasuke as a character. I just think the romantic aspect is definitely the weakest by
Yes.
far.
Not even
Uh,
close. Yeah, I don't even think anyone would argue that with you. I'm sure some
yeah.
random person would be like, actually, but no, I think it's pretty well
Well, I'm sure
documented that the,
someone
the, the relationships are terrible.
I'm sure someone would go to bat and defend Sasuke's relationship with Sakura, but that person probably only has ever had a relationship to Sasuke and Sakura in their lives. So,
Oof.
yeah, I mean, it's always important to keep that in perspective that when you're arguing online, you never know if the person you're arguing with is married and actually has a full life or is, a kid. And their
Yeah,
idea of
that's the thing,
relationships is
right?
this. Yeah. Because, yeah, as a kid, I thought Naruto had great romance. I was like, oh shit, Hinata blushes. That's crazy.
Also, as someone who has read this entire story, I'm excited to tell you that page 4 is super important.
Page 4? Oh god. What's page 4? No. The dinosaurs? No way. 10 out of 10. If there's more dinosaurs here. Oh my god, wait a minute. I didn't even clock it. Of course, the Velociraptor.
Yeah,
Oh shit.
it's the dumbest, coolest shit ever. It's the resolution to this story is some shit I would have thought up when I was like 8, and it rules.
Let's go. Maybe Kishimoto is him after all.
Kishi had it in him all along.
Maybe this is what he was cooking. He was just using the slow burner. He was trying to juggle, Boruto and the movies and all that, and he burnt all of that shit. This is the real sauce. Oh no, but
All in preparation for this.
oh my god, no, but that's amazing. If we go more into dinosaurs, might actually end up becoming one of my favorite pieces of Naruto media, which is
It's
so
it,
dumb.
bro. It's so crazy. It's so stupid but fun. I'm so excited.
You see, this is what we were saying before, that it doesn't matter if it's like objectively good and profound or whatever. If it has a fucking Velociraptor in it, it's cool. The rating goes from 1 to 10 out of 10, and then you have one level above it, which is Velociraptor out of 10.
Velociraptor out of 10.
Yeah. No, but it really, I mean, all jokes aside, it's one thing that I feel like a lot of people don't think about much, or at least we don't talk about a lot online, is the idea that sometimes all a series needs is a single cool or fun aspect or character, and it's good. Like, who cares about anything else? Like,
Yeah, as long as you have fun reading it, right?
yeah, like honestly, that's kind of how I feel with Dobby in My Hero. It's sort of like, yeah, My Hero can do whatever it wants. If Dobby's on screen, I'm happy because he's such an unhinged, like charcoal motherfucker. I just like seeing him do things. Or it's the same with how many people felt about Gojo in Jujutsu Kaisen prior to his cubing. Um where a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, Gojo is like my guy." Or how a lot of people feel about Yuji, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Yeah, so obviously it's good when that character, that aspect is like very front and central like Yuji, but sometimes it's slash Takizawa, and that's fine.
That's completely fine. Yeah, you gotta. Every
Yeah,
story needs one.
yeah. Every story needs a little scrimblow bimblow, be it a small robot or a velociraptor. All right. Do we want to move on?
Yes. Next up we have got. Ugh, Ginka and Luna.
The coveted exposition chapter. We've done it.
We did it, and now we're gonna have a library fight.
Yeah, the mangaka clearly watches this show because he was like, "Oh shit, I need to explain my power system." Actually, um,
We haven't gotten canceled yet. I actually have to start talking about this shit.
I actually liked the explanation though. I think it's a cool idea that magic is inherently volatile and inconsistent, and so most magical technology is just trying to make it more consistent or more simplified, and that's what this Varokian magic is. I think that's actually a really cool idea. Um, Because, it keeps magic unpredictable and weird in the way that magic kind of has to be. Um, but it still like mechanizes it for like the purposes of a shonen battle manga. The only thing now is Luna really doesn't fit into the system at all. And that's a little weird. And that's what I presume will make this fight a little, whatever.
Yeah,
That's
well,
sort of
I'm
my
guessing that's
vibe.
the point, is that they're trying to get her to fit into the system.
Hmm.
Um, but we'll see.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I mean, it's a fine chapter, but I don't care much for this random library lady who's super evil.
Yeah, creepy library lady.
Like, haha, you would be so much prettier without a head. Like, okay.
All right, creepy library.
Fine.
Take it down, creepy library lady.
Yeah. That annoyed me a little bit actually, I must say. Sort of this sudden shift where it's like, oh yeah, actually I want the world to be how I want it. And how do I want it? I don't know, but I sure am kind of shitty and evil. It's like, yeah, okay. It's like, all right. It's like, what are my motivations? Isn't it obvious? We need a shonen fight in the shonen manga.
We haven't had a fight in enough time.
Yeah. And hey, I mean, if the fight is cool, the fight will be cool. I don't mind that. And I did get my long-awaited exposition dump, so I suppose I'm not unhappy. It's just sort of, you could have done this in a more interesting way, and I don't think we need a fight in the library.
Well, I mean, that's the
Um,
whole summary of Ginka and Luna in general, isn't it? Could have done this in a more interesting fashion.
yeah. We'll say though, the hanging corpses in the library, pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
the whole like you got to be quiet in the library. You get corpsed.
yeah, yeah. Official Shonen Chill statement: we endorse corpsing.
We kind of do, don't we? That's unfortunate.
Every time anything happens in any manga, it's like, but will they die? Will they stay dead?
Will they get killed by a velociraptor?
Will Bakugo finally stay dead for once? Oh my god. I can't wait for that whole thing to come back up again. But no, My Hero this week. No My Hero this week.
You say rocking back and forth in your seat.
Yeah. Like, banish the demon, banish the evil. Oh,
Oh god. Okay.
all right. What's
Next
next?
up is Akane-Banashi.
Which was great as usual.
Yeah, the title, The Courtesan from Hell, is way too raw for someone that sits on a cushion on a stage and talks for an hour.
Yeah, like that final double spread. Isn't that the old guy's Bankai in Bleach?
It totally is.
You think the author saw the recent episode and was like, bet? Would match up with the timing more or less.
Yeah, that is absolutely basically what his Bankai looks like.
um, but yeah, no, super cool chapter. I really like the way they sort of frame her like rise to Rakugo fame. In that, it's this male-dominated society for so long to the point where it's like, oh yeah, of course, men can make women voices, and women shouldn't even try. And she just completely flips it around just by being so charismatic and so able to like bring that sensuality to these stories that I guess a man just can't do. Um, and yeah, I just think it's really cool. Also, as you said last week, I think that she doesn't just learn from anyone, but from like the most hardline conservative misogynist teacher ever.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, oh yeah,
The
he would
like
never, he wouldn't,
total horrible person who
yeah,
hates all women.
he wouldn't
Dabi
not
taught
just
her
teach
how to do
women.
this.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, just as usual, really good depiction also of like the Rakugo and its presence, like also through the art. Like I'm really starting to get attached to the way they depict like the Rakugo stories with like these thick ink lines. Um, and then also the way it mirrors the two art styles with like the real people and the people in her story, like on page 11, when it shows the same guy in both art styles to show that she's affecting and sort of communicating with both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just real cool shit.
Yeah, it's a really
Um,
cool way to visually give something that you can't really do in like a still image like this, you know? The way
Hmm.
that because earlier on that was kind of a complaint we had too. It was like, oh, reading the Rakugo is kind of boring, but now it's kind of interesting. Like
Yeah,
it's
I feel
grown
like it's
quite a
also
bit.
getting more like bolder with it overall. Like the yeah, the Bankai right at the end. I feel like that's not something you would have seen in the first few chapters, sort of on in terms of like art and abstraction. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, what does that image even mean?
I don't know.
Because her whole thing is that she's like really sensual and really charismatic. What do skeletons have to do with it?
I don't know. I guess they're trying to say that like they're all the denizens of hell and she's the leader, so they're all just like marching to her tune or something. I
Yeah,
don't
but why
know.
is she from hell, really?
I don't know.
You know what? I think we can chalk this up to this looks raw.
Yeah.
Print it.
The best metric there is.
Yeah. The author in the studio, like, yeah, this is fucking raw and makes no sense. Release it.
Release it immediately.
The streets need it. Um, but yeah, no, aside from that, it's crazy how enjoyable a chapter like this is, even though all that happens is Akane watches another woman perform. Like, it
Yeah,
packs a lot of
for
cool stuff into
something
it.
that is literally just, oh, look at that. It's pretty good.
Hmm.
Pretty sick.
Yeah. So I also find it interesting that Akane mentions that she has been taught that, being overly womanly on stage is seen as a bit of a taboo. Um, and I'm wondering what lessons she will learn from this. If she will sort of start incorporating, I don't know, maybe more female-oriented and centered stories into her repertoire. Like if this will actually start Akane on a path where she like not just wants to become a better Rakugoka, but also wants to like really settle into this role as a female Rakugoka. Bro, this story is gonna go wild. Like that's such an interesting setup as well. Not just about like, oh, rising through the ranks as an artist, but specifically rising as a female artist through a male-dominated space. I mean, we're talking about Shonen Jump here.
Hmm.
Like that's
It's
odd to find here.
a weird place
Yeah,
to do it in.
yeah. I mean, between Akane and Fuko, women might be thriving a little right now in Shonen Jump. Definitely not in general. Uh, Lots of work
Oh,
remains to be done, as one
yeah.
says. But yeah, no, very very cool. If that's the direction this is going, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a leftist little libcuck, but I am European after all, and I
That's
am
true.
evidently homosexual considering I'm married to a man. So,
Evidently.
nah, bro, it
Oh.
ain't gay. There's a whole ocean between us. It ain't gay.
It's not gay if you need to take a boat.
The boat is what makes it not gay. So if we move in together and we just have a boat in between, in like the hallway that we use to row to each other, it's not gay.
Just a flooded hallway with a little rowboat in it.
Dude, like what if we just like take a little boat and convert it into like the marriage bed? Technically, we're always in a boat.
All of our like official documentation would have to specify that we have a boat, so it's fine.
Yes. Like on our IDs. It's like an additional section. It's like has boat question mark? Yes.
Yes.
um uh, Damn. I sure hope none of our like parents ever find this podcast.
Oh God.
I mean, honestly, who cares at the end? It's just like, yeah, we gay. Just keep
Yeah.
scrolling.
Keep listening. Hopefully.
Yeah, keep listening. And we will bring you more juicy manga news after this ad by Raid Shadow. No,
No.
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 They
Not
pay
that I
like
wouldn't
shit.
sell out for the bag, of course. But
Yeah, but don't do it with Raid Shadow. They pay like shit.
oh, do they? That's unfortunate.
Yes, I've gotten offers from them, and they're kind of insulting. It's like, oh, like stream for 6 hours in a day with our logo on it and with multiple ads in between, and at least play our game for 2 of those hours, $150.
What the fuck?
It's like, yeah, right.
Nah, no thank you.
Yeah. The thing with them is that they kind of just ask anyone, so they get a lot of people just say yes, I think on default. But yeah, Raid is really bad with their rates.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, unless you're like massive. Obviously, I can only speak from the perspective of like, you know, I don't know if it's appropriate to call myself a mid-tier size, but in the big league scale of things, I have quote unquote only 130,000 subs, and at that scale, Raid is just not worth it. I
Right.
mean, honestly, sponsorships are very, very delicate because some sound really good, and then you try and do them, and you're like, oh shit, this is a pyramid scheme. It's like, oh no.
Uh-oh.
It's just like looking for regular jobs, really. It's like, oh yeah, I would love to have an interview with you. Oh no. Um, but all right. Uh, do we have anything else to say about Akane-Banashi?
No, I don't think so. As evidenced by how little we've said about it in the past 3
Yeah,
minutes.
I mean, it was good. It's cool to have a narrative focused on the like being a woman in a male-dominated space. That's not something I expect out of Shonen Jump. So to have it come out like this is really cool, and I hope it can keep this energy up. Out of 10.
Absolutely.
Very convoluted score.
That's all right. The people are used to it.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Next up, we have got Mashle.
Your runner-up for number 3, eh?
Yeah, raw. Just peak raw. Raw as
Just
hell.
just a very traditional shonen chapter. It's like, I will never give up, and he's getting pummeled to the ground, and then Mash comes in and he's like, here, have a cream puff.
Have
It's
a
like a sensu
half-eaten
bean.
cream puff.
Yeah. I was like, what does he think that's gonna do? It's not magical. It's not gonna heal him.
Yeah, he's like bleeding out and dying on the floor.
He's like, oh, thank you, Mash, for the cream puff. Unfortunately, my stomach's over there. But yeah, what an entrance. I mean, thank fucking God.
Yeah, I mean it's about time.
Yeah.
But it was so raw. He kicks the door off.
Hmm.
Ugh, so
And
fucking
then just
cool.
walks down that massive like staircase with the X on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Also,
god, it's got like the cool lighting on it. This is peak raw shonen.
yeah, this is like Raw Shonen 101, which I feel like we say that a lot with Mashle, but it really just is that. It's like it's a comedy series married to a step-by-step program on how to be a raw shonen battle
Mm-hmm.
manga. And I can definitely see why that would be like off-turning to someone. Because if you're sort of a little more cynical and you don't necessarily enjoy rawness and swag just by itself, then this can feel very like formulaic and almost on autopilot at times. But I don't care, it's raw as fuck.
Yeah, who dislikes rawness and swag? Reveal yourselves so you named publicly.
Well, I mean, sometimes I hate decisions that are made just for the rawness and swag. Like, giving your main characters 6 quirks that you barely explain. That's rawness and swag, but
I guess they're not like raw quirks though.
that is true. I fumbled even there. God damn it. When is he gonna introduce a
dispel the demon.
Velociraptor?
Dispel the demon.
Oh no! Oh no!
You're falling back
Banished.
into it again.
Banish! Banish!
Ocean's sitting on the other side of this podcast with a little wooden cross in his hand. Let a clove of garlic.
I can try those. It's like when I talk about Hori, I don't actually mean Kohei Horikoshi, the real person. I mean the eldritch entity that takes possession of my life every once in a while.
It looks like that monster from the end of Choujin X, but it's the Shigaraki hands instead make its head.
It's like holding me on my shoulder and it's like, talk about all for one. Call him a capitalist.
Don't you remember how much you hated this plot twist? Now it's all you can think of.
I'm trying to talk about like how cool Mashle is and how raw it is, and like the entity known as Hori is just in my ear and it's just going, Mirio, all for one. Like, no, I want to talk about something fun. Oh my god. I'm glad that throughout the like our show's lifetime, my hero has transformed from like, a shonen we like to a very clear parody of capitalism, to an endorsement of capitalism, to an endorsement of racism, to an eldritch monstrosity out of Lovecraft. Absolute nightmare
The
blunt
lore book is
rotation.
crazy right now.
SNC lore going wild. Where's our lore master? Where is our Vati Vidya?
It's at 100 episodes. We need one at this point.
Yeah, that's true. They need to keep up with all the twists and tribulations. I mean, the fact we've been trying to get married for 2 years and haven't managed. I will always remember that time when I mentioned on the podcast that no, I mentioned on Twitter that like, oh, we finally voted to make gay marriage legal in Switzerland, and the first reply I fucking got was, "I'm so happy for you and Zen."
Yeah, I remember that.
Motherfucker, you got me. Oh, do we have anything else to say on MASH?
I don't think so. It was cool, and it'll be cool from now on, probably.
It had a very cool color page, and the final spread was raw out of 10. There we go.
All right. Speaking of raw out of 10, next up is Sakamoto Days.
Raw Komodo Days, yeah. Again, kind of in the same situation with Mashle, where it's like you can't really speak on like the big themes or whatever all that much, especially not in a chapter like this. But it is really cool, and I do like the little tidbit we get on the lady, where it's like she's been taught that normal people deserve to live outside of like the weird bullshit of assassins, and I actually really like that. It's one of those things that just gives this series a bit more heart than just big explosions and big attacks, which obviously are also there.
Mm-hmm.
Page 13 is crazy. Just the energy in that.
I also, one of my favorite things in this in a long time is the final like kill. It's very cool.
Yeah, right. In the final pound where she like crawls out because it's hot.
Yeah, because it's too hot under the blanket.
Yeah, understandable. Um, and yeah, just cool. It's a good like microcosm of what makes Sakamoto Days so fun to read. Where it's like it's cool action, but it's not like I don't know how to put it. It's not artificial. It's not like made by an AI that has no concept of like people. So even though this is outlandish and weird, I mean, everyone has Goku level strength, even though that's never really explained. It's just a thing they can do. You still get moments where she's like, "Yeah, I don't want this kid to see someone else die. I may be an assassin, but I realize that's not really just a thing we can accept to happen to this random kid." Um, I feel like that's the sort of stuff that distinguishes series like this, as opposed to something that is just pure action for the sake of it, with very little understanding of how to endear you to characters as well. So yeah, no, super cool. Big fan of what's going on. Even though this is very much sort of a detour, because we're still stuff
We're
at the
still
school
in
is
the
still
middle of the
happening.
attack on the school. Yeah.
It's like, oh damn, the Shonen exams are happening. Anyway, here's the pain arc. Um, the next Naruto recut version.
The Sakamoto pacing version.
The Chainsaw Man pacing. But yeah, no, super cool. Big fan also of just as usual the choreography and the action in it. But aside from that, I really don't have much to say. It's again in that tier with Mashle for me, where it's raw as fuck and it knows exactly what it's doing. And that's more than good enough for me.
Yep. I co-sign that.
Excellent.
All right. Well, then next we have Ichigoki's Under Control.
Which I hear you're chapter 2 and you're already
I'm about checked
doubting
out.
it.
Yeah. I regret defending chapter 1. This was 25 pages of the least funny attempt at being funny I've ever seen in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Shugamaru was a lot funnier than this, I'll put it that way.
Well, I mean, Shugamaru had slash Takizawa.
True. No, this was genuinely like I would stop reading this on the show right now if you wanted to. This is really bad.
I mean, I barely even read this one, so yeah, sure, let's drop it.
All right, rip.
Yeah,
Moving
ripped.
on.
Dropped out of 10.
Dropped.
Ichigoki's fucking gone.
Ichigoki's fucking out of here.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a waste of my morning. Okay, so
Yeah,
now we've
happens.
got the Ichinose family's deadly sins.
Which was interesting. I didn't expect this chapter to like go hard go further into like the whole relationship between these two kids. I thought the bully character was just going to be a one-off
Yeah, I
like
thought the bully
reveal.
character was just like someone who was always a bully who was just bullying him by pretending to be nice because he had no memory. Um,
Hmm.
did not realize there was a whole thing between them, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Um and it also makes sort of the final bit where Ichinose drops snaps out of it for a moment interesting because I feel like now we're going to start seeing a little more of that conflict, right, between like his true self and his amnesiac self, because for most of this chapter it seems like it's his quote unquote true self, like
Hmm.
the sadist and kind of mean guy. And yeah, no, it's definitely going to be very interesting seeing how that develops. I also really enjoyed, I mean, enjoy is maybe the wrong word. I was very intrigued with like the structure of this chapter. It keeps switching, almost without notice when you're seeing the past and when you're seeing the present.
Hmm.
Um, which kind of makes, I think the intention there might have been to just sort of uh, make it more jarring, right? Because you go from the kids who are like, you know, they're having fun, they're okay, to just like absolute horrendous bullying. Um, so yeah, very very cool. I'm
What kind of school is this where this like full scale massive army of bullying can happen and they're just like I don't fucking care.
yeah. I are the Japanese okay? Because in many stories there's stuff like that where it's just like this massive like bullying movement and teachers are just like, oh well, kids are being kids, and it's like, is that a thing? Or is this like an anime trope? As someone who's gone to zero Japanese schools, I would really like to know, because I mean, you know, teachers, especially sort of in the early 2000s, were not exactly on point when it came to preventing bullying. um, but I still think this is very excessive from what like a school could allow.
Yeah, it's like horrifyingly over the top.
Yeah. Um, but I feel like that feeds into like the vibe of this manga where it's like it looks so cartoony and childish, but yeah, I think we talked about it last week already. It has these like awful vibes. I think the way we put it last week was that any page turn feels like you could just see a photorealistic like drawing of a dismembered human.
Yeah, the vibes
Yeah.
have not gotten any better. They're still a
Yeah.
nightmare.
Yes. Um so
Even that the little hope spot at the end where he like stops him from pouring the garbage all over the soccer uniform that he like worked for.
Mhm.
I feel like the next one's gonna open with something awful happening. Like there's no way that it's gonna stay
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's wild. If I had to like, how many chapters are we in? This is four chapters. Like these four chapters, I would characterize the series as one that inspires immense like anxiety,
Yeah, just
which is
inevitable
weird.
dread.
Which is weird to say about a manga that looks like this. It's just like bright-eyed and family and all that, and it's like, oh god, why do I feel a tingling in my chest and not the good kind? Um. So yeah, very intrigued, very cool. I feel like once this gets going, it could be a real heavy hitter.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
so yeah, very interesting and cool out of 10,
All right, then next up we have this week's newcomer, which is Fabricant 100.
which is also the final newcomer out of this batch, I believe.
Yes,
Um, what do you think?
I really liked it. I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was cool. I think it's a very unique premise. I think the concept of creepy monsters that hunt down and murder humans to take their body parts is a pretty cool borderline horror story to go with here.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the main guy. I think him and the relationship that he has with the monster one are pretty cool.
Yeah, like it's little guy traveling with a huge, powerful companion who's looking for a real body on a train. Immediately gave me Full Metal vibes. But it's very much a different relationship, obviously, because it's like, oh yeah, when you turn 18, you get my body. Um, which is cool. I didn't expect because when I saw the promo images, I didn't expect, the big, tall cleavage lady to be like anything other than a fairly standard companion. As it goes with anime and
Hmm.
manga. But she's kind of the main threat in a way.
Yeah, she's the
Uh,
physical threat.
yeah, because as cool as it is when she beats the enemy, it's like okay, but like whenever he turns 18, she's gonna want his body, and he's in no position to really do anything about it.
Yeah.
Um, also, I will say the fact that they are like, oh yes, the fabricants were made to aspire into to be peak human form, and Fabricant 100 is the closest it's gotten to it. So peak human form is just a big titty maid. It's like, okay, all right. I mean,
Who are we to
sure.
argue with the science?
Yeah, I mean, who are we arguing? Who are we to argue with? Esteemed scientists and alchemists, you know. Um, But I do think actually, I mean, bringing up her design, I do think there's a point to it. Like, her design is not just a maid. She specifically has this like weird shepherd's wife look to her, right? With the
Yeah, like a
like,
Bo Peep kind of thing going on.
yeah, like her cap and everything. And so, you have this very traditional feminine character, very sort of sexualized as well, obviously her upper body. Um, But then at the same time, her introductory panel, as in like in the flashback, is her holding like two human heads. Well, not
Hmm.
human, but two heads, and just splattered with blood. And I don't know, it feels like it's going for like a Lady Dimitrescu vibe,
Oh yeah,
where
I
it's
could
sort
see
of
that.
like, yeah, where it's sort of like it's this sort of overwhelming sexualized femininity associated with violence and power, something that, in literature and the common conscious is still kind of linked to masculinity. And I feel like that conflict is meant to imbue that sense of like uncanniness to it. That sense of like I think you look nice, I guess, but I feel uncomfortable. Um and I think it's very effective. Um so yeah, no, I'm all in for this. If this can keep this up for however many chapters it wants to run for, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's filling that horror niche vibe that I needed, that I
Mhm.
desperately needed.
Mhm.
The scene of him kidnapping the woman out of the train is crazy. It's really good.
Yes.
Um, the drawing on page 46 of her in like creepy monster form, really good.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I really like the bottom one as well, where it's just him like losing his shit. I really like the panels where she punches his eyes out, and I
Yeah.
like the little detail that on the next page, on page 50, where she's tossing them down to the guy because they're just
Mhm.
like right there in the corner of the page.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, I really liked it. I liked it more than I've liked a pilot in a long time, since maybe Red Hood probably.
Yeah, this was, I mean, especially you mentioned the scene right at the beginning when the wife is snatched. Like, yeah, that's actually a really strong opener for a story. I also really like the color page, the very first one. Like that scratchy brown style. It's very, very um, striking.
Hmm. Hmm. And I even like the on the final page the stylized looking like town that they're walking into with like the blocky shaped moon and everything. It's very cool.
Yeah, like if anything, this art style has a lot of character, I feel
Hmm.
like. Because also, she looks markedly very different from the main guy. And then all the other characters, and also the Fabricants again look very different. Like even style wise, if you compare like the eyes of the Fabricant to the main guy's eyes.
Hmm.
Um, so it's interesting. It's playing around with a lot of its visual identity. I wonder what it's going to settle into, because always chapter one everything looks a certain way, and then chapter 100 rolls around and it's a completely different series artistically. Um, so it's going to be interesting, sort of what it sticks around with. The final page especially has massive Soul Eater vibes,
Yeah, I can see
like
that.
aesthetically. Maybe that's just the moon. Um, but yeah, very excited and very cool out of 10.
Yes,
Definitely the
the most positive we've been about a about a new series in a long time, I feel like.
well, I feel like we've been pretty good on with Ichinose family as well, because that
That's
was
true.
also a very good pilot.
Yeah, that's true. I had already
Yeah.
lost that out of my brain. Yeah, Ichidose family also good.
Yeah, better than Cypher Academy and Ichigoki's Under Control. That's for
Hmm.
sure.
And
In
Ginka and
terms of
Luna.
like start.
Uh, but
Well,
maybe that's
better than
just me.
Ginka, maybe better than Ginka and Luna right now, even I would say.
Yes,
But you know,
is what it is.
yeah,
All right, so now we're in top three territory. So
excellent.
we are gonna start off with Blue Box.
I am so mad we haven't gotten to see the date yet, but I'm also so happy we got in a chapter like this.
This was such a good. I know it was great.
Yeah.
Them just kind of bonding and her kind of getting closer to Hina as a way to help her cope a little, and then you have that guy at the end, and Hina basically tells him off, but at the same time is kind of wishing she could do that herself almost. Um,
Hmm.
it was quite a powerful moment. And then I
Yeah.
like how they censored the middle finger. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah. Um, so someone in the Shonen Jump Discord, Shonen Chill Discord, Crashington, uh, said we owe it to Ayame, the flirty girl, to recognize how good her character has been for the story, despite initial worries about her. And he clarifies, or they clarified, it's not meant demandingly. Yes, Crashington, Ayame has been phenomenal, honestly, beyond what I could have imagined.
Yeah, one of my favorite characters right now for sure.
Incredible. Because at the start I really thought she was just gonna be like the wrench in the works, like
Hmm.
a little
The spanner
the
in the
little issue.
works, as it were.
Exact. That's the expression. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm Germaning too much. Um, um, but yeah,
Tori Thulu's on your shoulder too hard for you to remember.
he's like invading my mind, and I'm switching between all my languages.
You're glitching
Like,
out.
yeah, you're like, oh no, je ne comprends pas. um, but yeah, and I like also how this chapter doesn't just isn't just cute for like Hina, but it also develops Ayame a lot. Where she has that moment of reflection where she's like, I wonder if anyone's ever liked me that much, and I don't think I've ever been in love like this.
Hmm.
And it is interesting to see her like reflect on it as if it's really the first time.
Well, and it's
Which is
interesting
our
too, because her whole thing has always been like, who cares? Just have fun. But now she's seeing like the potential drawback to the way that she's always approached this kind of thing. And then
Mhm.
she's taking a lot of onus on herself to help Hina to make her feel better, and it's neat to see.
Yeah, and she also really thinks about how to help her as well. She's not like, oh yeah, there's other guys out there, haha. And she like really goes through the motions to try and figure out, okay, what can I do to make her feel better? Um, yeah, it is definitely something that I feel like in hindsight, it feels like the series needed this to both, continue to work with Hina, to not just drop her as a character, but also to finally develop Ayame a little more. And I never even knew
Hmm.
before this chapter. I couldn't have told you that we needed something like this. Um, but yeah, it's really cool, and I am so ready for Glasses Guy and Ayame to have more interaction because it feels like something's happening there.
Yeah, they talk too much for it to be like nothing.
They do, and they keep having cliffhangers together.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know if I want it to be sort of like a romantic thing, but I do want him to help Ayame get I don't know, get further with her mindset, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's
Um,
already kind of played a part in that, where they've had the conversations before that kind of got her thinking. Um,
yeah, that's true.
but I kind of like the vibe they have too, because they sort of have this similar presence where they're seeing this love triangle happen from the outside, and they're kind
Hmm.
of commenting on it and trying to mitigate it as much as they can, but are ultimately not really able to do anything other than be like, oh, this is bad and it's not going to end great.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's interesting to have a love triangle when you have these characters that are very clearly like observing and reacting to it, but can't really
Hmm.
like impact it in any way, and they're not part of it or like invested in it.
Yeah. I will say one thing I don't want for Ayama's story to go, one way I don't want it to go, is I don't want the conclusion to her story to be, ah, yes, I was just too promiscuous. I need to go and be a good housewife.
I
Uh,
doubt it.
I mean, it can always happen because it's one
It
of those
could.
traps that a lot of series I think fall into. Because it's, we still live in a society where that is seen as,
The
when you grow
correct.
up,
Yeah.
you settle down, right? And I'm not even saying that, it's wrong if that's what you want for your life, but I do think series should or have an opportunity to also discuss that for some people, being a little more open about these things and a little more adventurous might just be the right thing for them.
Hmm.
So with a character like her, if we're gonna get more focus on her, I really hope that the series takes that care to discuss whether or not, you know, her being a little more flirtatious and a little more adventurous, if that is just sort of I think she's doing now because she's young and maybe it's not quite what she wants, or if it's, something that just works for her and that is in of itself not necessarily a bad thing as long as, everyone involved agrees and is fine with it and all that stuff.
Right.
Um I don't know, man. Now we have Akane-Banashi dealing with like women in the art industry. I kind of want these series to go a little harder on this stuff, you know?
You're going
I don't know
full
if
lib mode.
Oh, dude, I'm so cucked. You know how
You're
it is.
you're cucking out right now.
Oh, dude, I'm soy facing. I'm cucking. It's the hoary influence. Like he's he's injecting like Minetta straight into my veins. Oh God, it's just my blood is replaced with grape juice.
Gross.
But yeah, I'm still, however, very excited for the date. I really do want to see that next week. Um, I don't think we should stall on that for too long.
Right. Yeah. Can't can't leave it as a cliffhanger for but so long. But I feel like they're gonna go to it next. I mean, what else is there gonna be?
I mean, I wouldn't have thought that this would
I
this
guess
wouldn't
that's
have
true.
happened.
They pulled
Yeah,
this out of fucking nowhere, but
yeah,
yeah,
it's
you can
good.
only do that so much, you know?
That is also true. Um, that is also true. Um, do we want to move on then, or do you have anything else on Blue Box,
No, I think we're good to move on. Next up is going to be Undead Unluck.
bro? Speaking of women winning,
It's so raw though. So
it's
cool.
yeah. She's like, oh, I know the ending of this game, so I know how to manipulate the RNG.
And that's
It's like
literally
yes,
it. Yeah. She's
yeah.
just like, oh, I already know how this works. Yeah.
Also, page 15 on the double spread on the far left side in the that's a straight up like One Piece grin she got there.
Yes. I
Fits her
also
really
like
well though.
the panel where uh the Uma tries to bait her by being like, "Oh, if you do this one, you can find out where Andy is." And
Hmm.
she kind of has that moment, you know. But one, I love the thing's expression in the top panel,
Yes,
the fucking
right.
glare that's making down at her. And then I also
Hmm.
like her little moment. And then the strong ass like stare that she gives back when she passes. It's really fucking good.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really cool because it's sort of like it's finally putting her in the driver's seat and she's just doing everything right. And I feel like it would feel really contrived and dumb if we hadn't gone on the entire journey beforehand.
Hmm.
And what's even cooler about it is that because she spent a lot of the early manga sort of in a observational role, sort of just being the maiden who's around and looks at stuff, that's now being weaponized because she's been observing all this time, and she's obviously also had her time skip. And so it's such a cool way to twist it around. I'm just continuously impressed with how much mileage this story is getting out of Fuko so late in the story. It's so cool. Um, and I also really like the little reversal we get with her, where she's like, "Look, technically, a lot of these Umas are not our problem. They don't really produce any huge issues by themselves.
Yeah, like just
Um,
their existence doesn't really do anything.
yeah. So as long as we keep preventing bad people from using them, we're fine." Um, which is yeah, it's such a cool way to like game the system. Just super super cool to see this happen, and also like the whole thing with like, oh, it's gonna punish us by moving forward in time. She's like, that's exactly what we want, baby.
Yeah, which is also like, God, it's so good. She's
Hmm.
got like the level that she has this planned out makes her like, I don't know. I can't even really put it in the proper word. The difference between the chapter one girl
Hmm.
and Fuko right now, they're completely different people,
Yeah,
just wildly
basically.
different people, and it's so cool to watch. Like, because we've said that like when she was fighting Spring and stuff. But it's so cool to watch her growth into this like, oh, I have the entire timeline of this universe planned out bit by
Hmm.
bit, exactly where we're gonna go. And every single time she makes a gamble, it works out. And like you said, it would be almost stupid because you'd think like, oh, this character gambles all the time and they always win, so what's the fun of it? But like,
Hmm.
it feels like such a big payoff because of everything we've already been through that now
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
exciting that it's going our way for once.
Yeah, exactly. Like it felt like I was in the previous story, it felt like we were on our back heel for so much of the story. Right? Just backed against the corner with Apocalypse bearing down on the cast. So yeah, as you say, it's really cool that it's finally going the way the characters want it to go. Like the perfect playthrough, basically.
New game
You've
plus,
memorized
as it were.
yeah, yeah, you've memorized all the like endings and dialogue choices. Um so yeah, now I guess we're gonna go back to the Four Seasons arc. Which is interesting. Because that was such a massive arc last time. I wonder how they're gonna
Yeah.
deal with it now.
Um, Also, we got Remember on the table. That's there now. Um, so
Yeah,
I
that's
assume
true.
that we're gonna recover the memories of our various teammates here pretty soon. Oh
Hmm.
God, this is so fucking good.
This is so fucking good, dude.
So
So
fucking
fucking
good.
good out of 10.
Yeah, that's really it. So fucking good out of
Yeah,
10.
yeah, so fucking good out of 10.
So next up we have the closer, which is
Yeah,
Jujutsu Kaisen.
I just know Gege was cackling when he wrote that all that planning for Tengen, only to then add on they miscalculated.
Yeah, they fucked up. Whoops.
Yeah. Ah, yes, you see, Yuki, this should work. Narrator voice, it did not work. Um, Also, first things first, the translation is being a little funny again. Uh, because Tengen basically says that he's using the same domain as Sukuna when he's just using a same
The same
kind of
type.
domain.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
style. Yeah.
yeah. You know, you really
It
wish
is
they
weird
cleaned
how
this shit
often
up.
they seem to fuck that up with Jujutsu Kaisen specifically.
Jujutsu Kaisen's had such a weird journey when it comes to translation. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's
it's
been
just
struggling, that's for sure.
yeah. I hope the volume fixes it. I heard the volume fixed a lot of like wacky translations in the Maki arc. So hopefully this will also apply here. But that aside, man, it's just fucking raw.
Shit was so raw when she pops up behind him with her arm like half hanging off and she starts fighting him.
Uh-huh.
So sick.
Yeah. And I kind of wish we didn't spend so much time on the plan that didn't end up working.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a lot of kind of wasted pages. Um, like it is cool that they go more in depth about how like the barriers work and how that like layer system functions, but at the same time it's like, A, Gege, you're not good at explaining these things, so save it for when we need it. And B, we didn't need it.
Yeah.
So it's sort of
Didn't
like,
even help.
yeah. Um, it is weird that Gege in every interview and everything ever he says, "Oh, I'm so bad at explaining complicated things," and then he keeps making up complicated plans and ideas. I guess to push himself.
Yeah, I mean,
But
you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta know.
yeah, no, I feel like in a way it gives Jujutsu Kaisen that flavor as well, where like someone will rattle off an explanation, you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
okay,
like,
it
what?
wasn't that important.
Yeah. They do that a few times where they
Yeah.
just like explain everything and you're like, what the fuck? And then
Hmm.
they're like, anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
whatever. Yeah, moving on.
Um, yeah. So we got Yuki fighting. You can definitely see the Toto in her, or I
Uh-huh.
guess you can see her in Toto. Um, just crazy pages as well while they're fighting, and then at the end we get our guy, our man.
Yes,
Why does he
he's back.
why does he have a massive asshole in his crotch though?
I assume that was a weirdly designed like what's the word I'm trying to say? Like a blood attack. Like
Yeah,
he's
now that I'm looking at it again, it does look like it. But
like
wow,
he's charging an attack. But yeah, it really looks like he has like a giant butthole penis. In the way
plot twist. That's his domain expansion. It's a Kenjaku. Come here, my ultimate move.
I do kind of like that the plan didn't work. I find that kind of funny that like, they were sitting there having this whole debate over like, oh shit, um,
Hmm.
what do we what do we do now? We have to do this special plan to get him, and then he's like, you really should have just done it. You should have just used your domain expansion right away.
Yeah, kind of also makes Kenjaku more threatening. The fact that they had all of this planned out, but a single mistake basically means they have to now wing it.
Hmm.
Um, and it is cool, like the whole thing with like the special grades, where like in order to fight them, you basically have to perform perfectly, and any mistake can cost you your life because they're just that powerful. Um, Also, on page 17, when they have that exchange where he's like, "Oh, why won't you heal yourself?" and Yuki's like, "I don't wanna." Kenjaku's face looks so disgusted.
It does.
He's like, "What the fuck?" Um, but yeah, very fun chapter. As I said, kind of a shame that most of its like textual substance is a joke.
Yeah, it's mostly just a gag, but
Yeah.
I'm worried that we're gonna lose Yuki here though. She's cool.
I mean, I don't know honestly, because losing an arm is kind of shonen manga 101 for, oh, I really want to kill you, but I can't. If you think of Toto and like
Yeah,
Mirko.
I don't know. I don't know. I just like Yuki. I think she's cool. I mean, she's basically just Jujutsu Kaisen Mirko, but I
Yeah.
like her a lot.
Hmm. She's Mirko with proper pants on.
Yes. Also, I do like the little reveal because we had kind of talked about it a few times, where we don't know that Tengen is necessarily being truthful, and then Kenjaku right here is like he is not being.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be, I'm curious to see where that goes. And I guess, well, Ken at the very least has to be fended off here, right? Because otherwise he just wins. Like
Yeah.
this is what he's
Yeah.
here for, so he can't win here. Um,
I kind of wonder if we're gonna get like you know, anime fan who's seen two animes. In Naruto, when
oh God.
no, when the third Hokage seals away like Orochimaru's arms. It's like, oh, now you're delayed because you need to fix this before you can do anything else. I wonder if we're gonna get something like this
Oh, I
here,
could see
where
that.
like
Yeah.
where they cripple Kenjaku temporarily, and paying a heavy price in the process just to show off how dangerous he is when he's not really opposed. And then Tengen is like, oh, I fucking disable your spine or whatever.
I've deleted your spine.
Yeah. I have cursed you every time you open your mouth. I don't know, like a bird shits in it. No
You have
more
to go
clever
deal with that
speeches.
first.
Yeah, no more clever speeches for you. Um, so yeah, I'm feeling like something like that could happen.
I could see it. I also really liked the speech where Kenjaku was like, "You and I are similar, but we're not the same, because you sat here in this whole your whole like existence, but like I've been out living and fighting and like learning, and you've just been
Hmm.
fucking sitting here." I
Yeah,
thought that was a cool little explanation.
yeah, and it's also like it just further sort of brings that whole thing in with Kenjaku being this old ancient entity. Because I feel like for a long time it did kind of feel like he could also just be Geto, or he could also just be what was his name, Noritoshi Kamo, the old
Hmm.
one.
Just a
Whereas
guy,
here now
yeah.
with with this, I feel like we've definitely moved into like a characterization that makes sense for a being like him, which makes it very interesting to sort of think about what he might have been like originally, or what he even was. Like, was he a human? Was he some weird hybrid curse thing, or was he something else entirely? Um, so I guess we'll see. Very, very interested.
Hmm.
Very cool out of 10.
Also, what the fuck does his domain expansion do? Just made an explosion.
Uh,
I guess gravity
hey,
is be my assumption.
maybe. I'm sure we'll hear about it eventually, maybe in like 100 chapters.
Yeah.
Gege will badly explain it to us.
With a weird little panel. It's like, hey, have you heard of this fable?
He's like, okay, bear with me. So in 16th century Japan, I mean, that's kind of what he did with Hakari's domain expansion. He's like, all right, folks, please listen. Let's talk about pachinko.
He was like, you gotta bear with me while I talk about this thing that I like for a minute.
I swear it's important. It's funny because it has almost like this Araki-esque quality, where it's like, I know you tuned in for an episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, but here's the science channel. It's like, oh, I want to talk about Mobius strips today, so that's what we're doing. Oh yeah, speaking of anime news, JoJo's over, as in the anime.
Yeah, yeah, the Stone Ocean stuff dropped like a couple days ago, right?
Yeah. And also, we got the final. We've got well, not the final. We got news on part 9.
Really? That
Literally
that is much
today.
more exciting.
Yeah, apparently the protagonist is going to be a descendant of Joseph Joestar. Which I have no clue what that means in the context of the new universe, but
Me either, but
yeah,
fuck it.
but that kind of sounds like it might.
Araki
It,
fucking
it,
loves Joseph.
yeah, but it honestly feels like it might take place back in the original universe, which is weird, but hey, why not? Um, I don't know, but I guess we'll see. Um, do we have anything else to say on Jutsu?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, is that a show in the bag then?
I believe that that is a show in the bag. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will get the next patron poll post up, so make sure that you submit for that, because if you don't submit for that, we're going to end up having to read Dandadan because Zawardo's the only one who's going to keep posting.
Good lord, we have to read that shit again.
He's trying his best, man.
Uh, I mean, it's his loss if he wants us to shit on it again.
Well, we read the first. He's very adamant that it gets good after the bad chapter that we read. Um,
Hmm.
I'm hesitant to believe that, but also Undead Unluck exists, so it is possible.
Yeah, that is true. Um, then again, for every undead unlock, there is also uh, someone like Shugomaru, which
Yeah, there's
starts bad
a
and
million
stays bad.
Shugamarus for
Yeah.
every Undead Unluck. Uh, but yeah, that is today's episode. We will get that up later today. Keep an eye out if you are in the Discord, and if you're not in the Discord, get in there. It's pinned to my Twitter.
Yeah. Give us funny suggestions or cool suggestions and predictions for what
I'm
certain
looking
manga
forward
might be up to.
to those bingo cards. They're gonna be good.
Oh God, I've seen a couple. I've seen that for one confirmed, and the immediate next suggestion is that for one debunked. It's like at this point, yeah, both are possible. Honestly, not really, but still, it's funny to think about. Um, But yeah, in that case, we will see you next week, hopefully.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.